It's a town that they go to where the women have terrible bangs. There have been so many films that dig into the social media and Instagram, and none of them do it as well as this.
Take that, Texas. We're just going to go ahead and mess with Texas, and we're going to call it Ohio.
And welcome back to Fright Club Live. Might as well just start right away with a little test. We say OH, you say
IO. Just FYI.
For the out-of-towners.
That's right.
That's how it works here in the OHIO. Welcome, glad you're here. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from madwolf.com. Back at it for Fright Club Live. It's going to be a fun one, and we have a nice, fun announcement, too, that you might be able to guess since some theaters are opening back up now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we'll get to that. We're going to talk about horror in the 6... Well, I was going to say it's in the 614 because that's our area code.
That's right, that's Columbus.
But there are plenty of other area codes. But then you reminded me that most of these, if not all, are fictional Ohio towns.
Yes, all but one are fixed. So they could all be 614.
So we're going to call them all
that's
614.
Right. I don't know
and
why
that's
not.
us. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Ohio horror. But first, we want to thank everybody, and it was a lot of you, that chimed in as we presented our hot takes. Some not as hot as we thought, some much more hot than we thought last time out when we talked about reboots that we thought were better. And yeah, we heard from you.
Yes.
Passionate. That's good.
So, I mean, Seth was nice about it. He had been hoping to see Cat People on the list. And then Silas just, if it were up to him, and it isn't, he would have put The Thing at number one, which is, that was a common bit of disgruntlement. A lot of people thought that The Thing should be number one. I think you did too, actually.
Yeah, and when we say they were nice, that means they didn't declare a pox on all our houses. That was the bar for being nice. But we understand.
Yes.
We understand some blood running hot with this. But
right.
Yeah, I could definitely see The Thing at number one.
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. Captain Me Toxin.
Mm-hmm.
He, I think we may be dead to him now, although this whole podcast was partly his fault. But he was really disappointed that we had Romero's Dawn of the Dead below the remake of Dawn of the Dead. But then Andrew, who, by the way, I think Andrew is starting his own podcast.
Did we piss him off that much?
Right. Freaks and Psychos.
I'm just going to go make my own.
I know. I'm excited, though. I'm excited
No,
about
that's
it.
great, Andrew.
Yes.
I can't wait to listen to it. Fantastic.
But he, we broke his heart. That's actually what he said.
For the Romero?
Well, because he's a big Romero fan, and we have two Romeros on the list of 5. We've got 2 Romeros, but I think the biggest one for him, and then for everybody else who was really angry, Suspiria.
Yeah, that really brought the knives out.
Yeah.
And I do understand because there's a lot of love for Argento's Suspiria, and also because Guadagnino's Suspiria was so much different. So the fact that it's very polarizing is totally understandable. As we've mentioned before, I especially am not a huge fan of the Argento one, so I thought as we said, I thought the remake was so much better. But I totally get it. I totally get that you love the original Suspiria, and Guadagnino did such a different vision that it makes sense that you probably wouldn't be maybe as on board.
Right. If you absolutely love the original, it makes sense, I think. I mean, I loved just the fact, but regardless of the fact that I really love the film, I love the fact that he didn't try to outdo or even mimic the Giallo style or Argento's use of color, or even the way he made everything big to make her seem so small. I mean, he just Guadagnino's whole vision, not just the story, but everything was so much different. And I understand when you're remaking such a much beloved film, it's smart to just start off that way.
Yes.
Although there are going to be people who are going to hate it because they love the original so much. So why would they like something so much different? So I mean, it's understandable. I am with you, although I do love Argento's film. I am with you that the remake was better.
But thank you so much for all the comments, and also I was talking to, and I apologize. I was Nathan got the IO. Yeah, it's our peeps. I was having a conversation on our Facebook page with a guy. I think his name was Cameron. I apologize if I messed that up. But we had a nice back and forth because he felt the same way. Really liked the first Suspiria, thought it was heresy. that the new one was better. But you know what? It was a nice back and forth, and by the end, he thought he would give it another chance. So appreciate that, even if it still doesn't measure up. It was a great conversation. That's why we love doing this.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
get everybody's perspective. So it was a lot of fun. That podcast was a lot of fun to do, and I'll be honest, take you behind the curtain here. We probably did that podcast with as little preparation as we've ever had.
Yeah.
Seriously, we just walked into the studio and we had some notes, obviously, but just let it rip, and it just came so easily.
Yeah. And it was partly because, and I did it again this week, I think everybody will understand this, I forget what fucking day it is. I did it for this podcast as well, is that I just thought, is it September now? And the same thing happened. It just, the date snuck up on me, and we're like, oh, we have to record something right now if we're going to have something live on Monday. So.
Okay, if you're keeping score at home, that's one F-bomb. That's one F-bomb. Maybe, 7 minutes in. So who has to drink? Who had 7 minutes? We're on to, what else? You wanted to talk about Ohio misanthrope named Valerie.
That's right, because she did not complain about our Reboot podcast. What she did was she finally got a chance to catch up on the Blondes in Horror podcast, which she likes very much, but it's a second vote for Redheads.
Okay.
She wants a Redheads in Horror podcast.
Why not?
Because she is also of the Ginger Sisterhood. So.
Okay, we're down for that.
Right off the top of my head, though, it's going to take me a minute, because off the top of my head, Ginger Snaps and Chucky, and I'm having a hard time. I will come up with the rest of the list. I really will.
Yeah, we'll find more. But until then, it's OHIO Horror.
That's
and
right.
This really is timely. It's perfect, because I don't know if you're as excited about the upcoming movie The Devil All the Time as we are. But it's set in, and for those of you outside of Ohio, I'm not making this up, Knock'em Stiff, Ohio.
It's real. That's a real
Knock'em
town.
Stiff.
How did we not know this?
Well, we did know it. Yeah, it's about an hour. It's about an hour from here, down by Chillicothe. So Knock'em Stiff is where The Devil All the Time is set, and that looks great.
Oh my
great
God, that cast.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, and apparently I haven't read the book, but everybody that I talked to that read the book just freaking loved it. So we're hoping against hope that we get an early screener. Come on, make that happen. You know who you are. But it's coming out, I believe, next week or soon.
It's going to be on Netflix Wednesday. Gateway Film Center is going to have it theatrically this weekend.
Yeah, so Knock'em Stiff. So that's Ohio. None of the movies that we're going to talk about tonight are set in Knock'em Stiff, but we love that that's a real town. And look it up, because it is. It's not fake news. So OHIO Horror.
That's right.
We kind of hinted at it. The parameters, the guidelines are not that the filmmaker is from Ohio and not that the cast is from Ohio.
Oh, no. In several instances, the filmmaker is from Ohio, which probably explains why that person decided to set their nightmare in this state. The point is, no, you don't have to be an Ohio filmmaker. The film just has to be set in Ohio. So there were several that I thought would make the list because of a connection, but there were so many that were actually fully set in Ohio that those didn't make the list. So, for example, Silence of the Lambs. I wasn't going to put that on here, or at least get a mention in.
Belvedere, Ohio.
That's right. It's a town that they go to, Belvedere, Ohio, where the women have terrible bangs. Terrible bangs. But it wasn't enough of a setting to make it here. Also, Zombieland, another one we like to talk about, because Columbus.
Yes.
That's right. He's from Columbus, Ohio. Who was the other one? I know. The Hills Have Eyes, because it's not set in Ohio, but the vacationers are from Ohio, and you know that because he's wearing an Ohio State t-shirt that I feel confident Wes Craven did not get copyright to actually use.
Do you think? Because those copyrights are so easy. They just hand them out down on High Street. Just walk by. They'll give you one.
Sure, use it. Say Buckeye. We're fine. It's fine.
Another movie that
they try to copyright the word "the."
Another movie that, not a horror movie, but we love it so much. In fact, when we were still writing for the newspaper, 2011, it was our number one movie of the year.
Yes, it's not a horror movie, although it is really scary. And it's called Take Shelter, and it's a potentially perfect film for me. I mean, it's
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, Michael Shannon. It's set in Lorain, Ohio area. It was filmed in the Lorain, Ohio
outside
area.
Outside
Elyria.
Yeah.
And the little girl is from Columbus.
Yeah, what a great movie. Look it up. Take Shelter.
It was so great.
But that really not a horror movie. Also set in Akron, The Dead Next Door.
So that's like the cheapest made movie. It's an incredibly low budget movie. And it's the production values are terrible, but there's something really charming and incredibly gory about it. Sam Raimi is a big fan of this movie, and I feel like Peter Jackson would have been as well. So it's just all over Akron. It's so clearly set in Akron. So if you feel like a fun, bad movie that sort of has its own gory charm, I recommend it.
Okay, how about let's move on up to Toledo for Feed.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. When I saw Feed a few years ago, I think we must have been doing, I think we did a podcast on meat. Not a great movie. It's kind of alarming. It's interesting. I thought it was Australian because the lead is Australian, but it was not only is it set in Toledo, it's filmed in Toledo.
And if you're some certain 80s supergroups, Toledo is also known as South Detroit. And also Union Furnace, right here in Columbus, Ohio. That's set in the real town of Union Furnace, Ohio.
Yeah, and the filmmaker's from Columbus. In fact, I think he may have lived in Grandview for a time, which is where we live in Columbus.
Mm-hmm. So those are a few that we want to just mention. Ohio set films that didn't make the list. Yeah, Katie says, dang, Take Shelter was so good. Melissa agrees. Yeah, if you haven't seen Take Shelter,
do it.
It is just so great.
Do
Michael
it right
Shannon, who is always fantastic,
Yeah,
just a chilling performance. And Jessica Chastain, I mean the whole cast. Shea Wiggum.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic movie, so look it up. Okay. Is that all we're talking about? The prelims?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll get to the top 5.
Let's do it.
All right, let's hit it. And this one is set 2 weeks after the first series of murders, as Sydney acclimates to college life. Someone donning the ghost face costume begins a new string of killings. This is set at Windsor College in Ohio from 1997. Scream 2.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Remember me?
What do you want?
I want you. It's showtime.
Police are everywhere.
There is some freaked out psycho trying to follow in Billy Loomis's footsteps. You probably already know.
The way I see it, someone's out to make a scene. So it's our job to observe the rules of the scene. Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, death scenes are always much more elaborate.
This is actually great to follow up on the conversation last time about sequels bettering the original, because that comes into play in this. It's all about, as you saw in the trailer there, it's all about the rules of the sequel. And as the one character says, there's been plenty of sequels that are better than the original. So it just kind of follows in that conversation. But this is Windsor College, known for their thick, juicy steaks. on campus. And it's a lot of fun. As we've talked about Scream 2 before, it's a lot of fun.
It is. And I'm going to second D-Zach right there, because Timothy Olyphant
he's great.
He made our dreamy villains list that time because
Your dreamy villains list?
Yeah, yours was mostly female. But the point is, he is in it. And but the whole movie is so much fun, and I love that it's in Windsor College. Of course, it's Wes Craven, who is from Cleveland. So there's always a lot, not always, but there's very often a lot of Ohio happening in his movies. And of course, Scream, the original, was not set, it was set in Woodsboro. But I thought it was fun that he moved it for the sequel to a little liberal arts college in, No Place, Ohio. I thought that was super fun.
And it looks like a quaint little campus for some killing. Windsor College. And we have talked in the last few weeks about, I'm sure everybody's heard about the new treatment that Scream is getting. Pretty much, is everybody back on board now that I've heard? I think Courtney Cox is on. The first one we heard was Arquette was on board, and now I think...
Which made you think maybe Courtney Cox would not want to be in it.
No, they're still buds, aren't they? Are they friendly? Last time I talked to them. So we're looking forward to that, so we'll see what comes of it. But Debbie Salt is the best character name ever. From Brandon, Debbie Salt. Yeah. That's a good one.
It is a good one. She's so great. She's so Laurie Metcalf. Laurie Metcalf is so great in that movie.
Always Laurie Metcalf.
I think so. I love Scream. I think the original Scream is incredibly clever, and I do think it's a better film than the sequel. But the sequel is, to me, much funnier, and a lot of that is because it's just much funnier. I enjoy both of them.
I do too, and that is number 5, Scream 2 on our list of OHIO horror from 1997. Move it up to number 4, and this one is set in the vacation paradise of Rosedale, Ohio. A twist on the slasher genre following 2 death-obsessed teenage girls who use their online show about real-life tragedies to send their small Midwestern town into a frenzy and cement their legacy as modern horror legends. It's Tragedy Girls.
Your brains, my charisma. We could do anything.
Quick soundbite from the Tragedy Girls.
OMG, I can't even with this right now.
Are you afraid that the killer will target you because of your infamous blog?
We will not take any more shit from this serial killer. I'm so scared right now. You look amazing.
You bitches crazy.
Just another example that if Craig Robinson is in the movie, I want to see it. Love him. But that's just one of the reasons why this is another one that's just a bunch of fun.
It is. And there have been so many films, horror films in particular, that sort of dig into the social media and Instagram, and none of them do it as well as this. None of them are nearly as sharp or as clever or as insightful, and they're definitely not as much fun. Josh Hutcherson.
I know.
He is so funny.
He is.
Oh, my God. I'm so happy.
15,000 followers.
I'm so happy that he was in this movie. Oh, my God.
And those of us of a certain age might remember and see that you can easily see this was an inspiration for Rosedale was Riverdale and Archie and Veronica and Jughead and that whole thing. They kind of patterned some of the characters like that.
You know, they have like a TV show now, so.
They do now?
They do.
Archie and
yeah, I think it might be a horror TV show. We don't know TV, so I don't know. But yeah, no,
Is
it's
that
true.
right?
Cat, you know. Tell me.
With the original characters?
I don't know.
All right, we're getting off brand. But yeah, Tragedy Girls. Jason says Tragedy Girls had some great humor, and it does. It's very, it's humorous and it's smart without being condescending. And like you mentioned, so many movies have tried to take on this topic for obvious reasons because it's such a now part of society.
Yeah.
And so few of them have done it well.
Oh no, because so often I think it's trying to those films are trying too hard to make a point, you know, to be a cautionary tale. And this one is just it's as much about just narcissistic teens as it is about how they're sort of their vehicles for it. But the other thing I love about it, because it's a buddy picture, but then it takes these turns that are unexpected and so clever, and there is a weird heart to this movie. There really is. The performances all across the board are just magnificent. Yes,
and it's also
I love this
very
one.
Self-aware about the genre. I know you love that. At one point, they're watching Night of the Living Dead at the "We're Coming to Get You, Barbara" scene on there. So that's great.
You know why that is? You know why that all horror movies show Night of the Living Dead?
Because it's public domain.
That's right. That's why.
But it's great move.
It is a great one.
Great move. So Rosedale, Ohio.
Wait, Cat to the Rescue. It's called Riverdale. It's a teen sex murder mystery hit show. The best CW has to offer. I knew she'd know.
I can't wait for the next episode. Let's binge watch.
We're so bad with TV.
We are.
We're out of touch.
So Rosedale, we have to leave Rosedale.
We do.
And number 4, Tragedy Girls from 2017, and it moves up to number 3, and we visit Harrington, Ohio. From 1998, students suspect that their teachers are aliens after bizarre occurrences in the faculty.
The students at Harrington High have always suspected their teachers were from another planet.
Is this gonna be on the test?
This is the test.
This time, they're right. Now, these 6 students won't just question authority. They'll have to destroy it.
Please report to the principal's office.
This is a great movie. You know what? I think that this is one of those movies that was inexplicably underappreciated when it came out. The cast.
Oh, my Lord.
Shut up.
The cast
oh my God, this
is
cast.
just loaded. And you can just see some in that trailer, but it's loaded with, and it's also some of the cast, like Piper Laurie, who you saw there.
Oh, yeah.
Helps to just cement all the different callbacks to so many different horror movies.
Yeah.
All throughout it. It's very self-aware as well. And yeah, it has a ton of fun. Jon Stewart, who is of course known as a great actor, but he's fine.
Bebe Neuwirth steals this movie, and of course your favorite, Salma
and Daniel von Bargen, I think is his name. Great character actor. He was George's boss in Seinfeld, who unfortunately passed away about 5 years ago. Always great to see him. And it's loaded with...
Well, and then the kids, too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Elijah Wood and...
Josh Hartnett.
Clay Duvall. There's Jordana Brewster, who's in the really bad... Oh, she's not in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. She's in the prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which is also terrible. Anyway.
This is set in Harrington, Ohio, although a lot of the filming was done in Lockhart, Texas. And the football team was used, and the city was told to show up at the football game. They were given fake T-shirts to wear in the stands. So Texas standing in for Harrington, Ohio. So take that, Texas. We're just going to go ahead and mess with Texas. And we're going to call it Ohio because that's how we do things here in Harrington. I feel like the faculty, am I wrong about this? I feel like the faculty just doesn't get the love, maybe.
No, I think you're right. And it's basically, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just retooled by Robert Rodriguez, who is just great, and Kevin Williamson. So the guy who wrote all the Screams, he wrote this, and Robert Rodriguez directed it, and everybody who is worth seeing was in it. And it's, and it really didn't, I think, get as much attention as it deserved at the time because it's so incredibly watchable.
Yeah.
It's creepy, it's surprising, and it's really deadpan funny.
It is really deadpan funny. Originally, for some reason, it was called The Feelers.
Oh,
but I like The Faculty better because, it plays on the fact that always when you're in high school, you feel like most of the teachers are just like, what's up with you? And turns out there's something. Mm-hmm. There's something up with this faculty. In Harrington, Ohio, number 3 on our list of OHIO, or DZAC says Texas Forever. What's that about?
I don't know. I would expect it from Phantom Abducted or Silas. They're both from Texas, but I don't know about DZAC. Well, he goes there a lot. He does go there a lot.
All right, well, this is about Ohio. So let's move it up to number 2. Oh, this is a fun one. This is from 2007. This is set in Warren Valley, Ohio. 5 interwoven stories that occur on Halloween. And this is from an Ohio filmmaker as well, Columbus, Ohio filmmaker, Trick or Treat.
Look at me. It's not a trick. It's real.
Tonight, it's about respecting the customs, not breaking them.
I think for some reason I remember not having great expectations of this when I saw it the first time, and I just freaking loved it. Oh, Jenny says love for the faculty. Yes, love the faculty. Yeah, no doubt about that. But Trick or Treat, Michael Dougherty, filmmaker from Columbus, Ohio. This was actually based on his short film Season's Greetings from the late 1990s, and that debuted the lovable character of Sam, the Pumpkinhead, who we got to meet down at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. That was a blast. He just was running around the whole camp there, the whole amusement park grounds, and you got your picture with him. That was fun.
Yeah.
But this one has, talk about a cast. How about Dylan Baker and Thurman Merman?
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
The whole cast is great in this one, though.
Yeah, Anna Paquin. And it has...
Brian Cox, yeah. It's like we said, it's those interwoven stories because it's an anthology type that brings them all together in a very, I think, clever way and has a twist at the end. Very cool twist that I admit... lots of twists.
I didn't see, a big twist at the end. And it was just a blast and something that is... I saw on the screen there on the trailer, one of the quotes was... required viewing at Halloween, and I think it should be.
Oh my God, yeah!
It's just one you got to watch every Halloween. It's so much.
It's one of those movies that does comic book cut-ins incredibly well. Yeah. Definitely, a throwback to the old.
Yes.
Why can't I think of the Wes Craven the Romero anthology?
Creepshow.
Creepshow is what I was trying to
If
think
anyone.
of. It does those great cutaways with comic books that I think looks really cool. Also, I love the whole story. I think it gets lost because some of the other ones are sort of super crazy cool and have these great transformations, but I love the whole story on the bus. And I know for sure we're going to do school bus podcasts because as we were watching that trailer, I thought of 5 right in quick succession.
That's why you couldn't think of that Romero thing because your brain was on something else. And the funny thing about this movie, an interesting thing when we're talking about horror movies, is that every single death occurs off camera.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. Which takes nothing away from the movie because it doesn't detract from its creepiness or its fun factor whatsoever.
Yeah, I want to jump back to Jenny's because it is one of the very best werewolf transformation scenes. And
agreed.
And it's so fun that it's Little Red Riding Hood, but there's the twist on it, of course, because she's it's just the best. There's so much. It's so fun. It's so fun beginning to end this movie, and really, really clever. And I don't always like anthologies. I mean, sometimes they really leave me cold. But I don't think that there's one short in this that's weak.
No.
And they all have such a different, each one has a very different style. You know, Dylan Baker is incredible. I love him as, I mean, because you can't see him as anything but creepy ever since Happiness. There is no way. He'll never not be creepy.
That's so true.
And Thurman Merman, yes. It's just a great movie.
It is great.
We haven't talked about this one in a while. I mean, for a while, it showed up in a lot of podcasts, but it's been a minute, and I'm excited that we got to talk about it.
Glad to have it at number 2, Warren Valley, Ohio, Trick or Treat. And that takes us up to number 1. But before we get to number 1, we got a little bit of announcement to make, and that is the fact that starting next month, which is perfect, October, Halloween, we're going to be back in front of a crowd. Okay, a little bit smaller because of safety concerns, but we're going to be back at Gateway Film Center.
Come out and see us.
For Fright Club Live. It's going to be October 14th.
October 14th. We haven't narrowed down the film or the podcast yet. We can't really narrow down the podcast yet till we know what the film is. And because of booking considerations, usually Chris has a lot more time than like a week to figure out whether or not he can get something. So we're still a little bit up in the air as to which of the films we're going to show. But, you know, if you're feeling comfortable in a movie theater, please come out. We were at the Gateway to see Tenet.
Yeah, and I will say,
millimeter.
Here in town, we've been to the Gateway, we've been to Studio 35, we've been to the Grandview, and I got to say, kudos to all 3 of those staffs.
Yeah, it's
because
really true.
We felt totally comfortable. And I know you were feeling a little bit more skittish than I was.
Yeah. I don't like to be indoors, and I don't like people. I never really liked people, but now I just, I don't trust them. I did go to one of the Googleplexes. The facility was set up well, but there was nobody policing other people. And so this guy walked past me. He climbed past me twice to get more popcorn or whatever without a mask on. And I thought it was going to giant freak out.
But when we went to the Gateway just a week or so ago, everything was buttoned down. And so I think you'll feel totally comfortable. Hopefully. We'd love to see you there. October 14th. Gateway for the return of Fright Club Live. We'll have more information about the movie and the topic coming soon, but we look forward to that. And everybody that can make it out, we certainly hope to see you. Nathan says the topic is going to be plagues.
Here's sad news from Jason. Jason's moving to Detroit. What?
The Detroit?
Oh, North Toledo?
Yeah.
We'll miss you, Jason.
Referred to here as that state up north. Yeah, we will, but we look forward to keeping in touch on through the social medias. All right, so we ready to go up to number 1?
I am.
We leave Warren Valley, Ohio, and we stop in Springwood from 1984, the classic, the original, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy, there's something wrong with you. You're imagining things. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
A new masterpiece in fantasy terror. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Who didn't know? Come on. You had to know that this was going to be number 1. And we don't talk about this one very much, but this has not made very many of our podcasts.
That's weird.
It is. Well, it's a little bit, because a lot of times we're trying to hit films that people don't know as well. And also, you're not a huge fan of this one.
Among 80s slasher types, I do. I'd have to put this at the top. The overall genre, no, is not my favorite. But I would. This is one of the best. And I've mentioned many times that long-armed scene, that did get me. That got me. That scared me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the whole thing was really scary. Everything about it. I mean, I know it didn't have a great budget, and in a lot of instances, there are so many sequels, and the budget improved for some of them. But I don't think the movies, and Freddy's character transformed, became much more of a one-liner of a comic villain
Very much.
in the later episodes. But in the first one, what scared me, and I think what scared a lot of people the first time, was not so much this guy with this sort of, burned up face, or even necessarily the claw, right? It's the idea that you can't not fall asleep. You can't do it. And I don't even want to.
I was going to say, that for you, that might be worse than The Woods.
It's because there are times where I think when the zombie apocalypse comes, eventually I'm just going to be like, I'm tired of avoiding you. Here, just bite me. But I would give in even sooner if it was like, you're going to kill me in my sleep. Well, I mean, I've been awake 12 hours. I haven't had a nap. I guess I'm dead now.
12.
I like sleeping, and so anyway, I thought that the concept of it was really fascinating, and then the execution as well. Is it, how is your dream going to kill you?
Yeah.
Well, then they did. He did come up with a villain entirely unlike any that we had ever seen, like a completely, which is, by 1984, the slashers had already completely saturated the market. And so we'd seen every type of boogeyman, every type of masked man, and every type of killer that couldn't be killed, that just kept coming back to more, no matter what you did. So not only was just the image of this guy, and then what he was, and the glove, right? I mean, that's, after the fact that he's going to kill you in your sleep, that glove is just absolutely genius.
And what's interesting, this is set in Springwood, Ohio, fictional, but it was originally supposed to be set in L.A. The script mentions the San Fernando Valley, and then they filmed a line that was eventually cut where a teenager says, "California is the most high and balmy state, man." But all that was was that good? All that was cut out. They wanted, for the final cut, they wanted to make it vague in which city the movie was set. So then the second movie, I think, according to what I found, establishes the name as Springwood, and then later movies confirmed it was in Ohio. So it kind of evolved along the way, but we're claiming it.
That's right.
Darn it. We're going to claim the classic Nightmare on Elm Street for Springwood, Ohio. And I think I just saw Joel said, Ohio is the best location for horror. Pretty darn good.
Is, yeah.
Hard to argue.
Yeah.
Hard to argue. So that's a good 5, and we look forward to your thanks for all the comments, by the way. Look forward to your...
What would be another good location to do? Texas. I can already think of
Texas?
7.
Oh, yeah. Gee, which one?
But there's a lot of Texas horror. New England. We could do New England generally. It would basically be our Stephen King.
Ever Stephen King.
It would basically be our Stephen King podcast.
Exactly. But this is a good one to start with. Some good ones here. So, this was a lot of fun. And again, we do say that we're going to be back at Gateway next month, but we still plan to do some of these StreamYard ones because these are fun.
They are fun.
And
there will be a podcast. There will be a Fright Club podcast between now and October the 14th, assuming that I can remember what day, week, month, and year it is. And it is going to be on the best voices. The best voices in horror.
Well, can I just
I know, which is a
chime
funny thing.
in right now?
It's like all of a sudden I'll come up with all these topics about you. Think maybe I have a crush on you or something.
What?
So that's going to be the next one that we do either this way or in the studio. One of the not live and in person. And then also between now and then we are going to be on Jamie Ray's podcast, Fave 5 from Fans. Why do I trip on that every time?
It's a tongue twister a little bit.
It is a little bit of tongue twister, and we're very excited that he's going to have us on.
Yeah, appreciate that. Oh, Brandon says we need more Rhode Island horror, and Kat wants cabins in woods.
Yeah.
Plenty of those.
Yeah.
Plenty of those. So this is fun. Thank you so much
New
for
England
everybody.
Would be King and Lovecraft.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
Lovecraft. We watched that show. We watch a TV show, everyone. We do.
Lovecraft
it's, of course,
Country.
Lovecraft
Who's
Country.
watching that? Yeah, I like it because it packs so much into every episode. It doesn't really keep a lot of things straight on. They accomplish something every time.
Yep.
And it gets bloody.
Yeah, it does.
It gets freaky. And it's got some
Very
good
exciting.
social commentary in there, too. So, yes, we are watching a TV
That's
show.
right. And here's my hot take. That blonde lady and that blonde guy, they're the same person.
Ooh.
They're never in the same room together.
Ooh.
And the singer, Ruby, she's going to be so unhappy when she finds that out.
She will. She will. Okay. Black Christmas.
It's a
has
good
vote
one.
For the best voices. That is good. Yeah, that is good. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Until then, keep the comments coming. Thank you so much. Love the love the Fright Clubbers. Always so much life, even when you agree with us, but even more when you don't. So if you don't about this,
That's not true. I don't love you more when you don't agree with us. Not at all.
Sometimes the level of passion, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. So thanks so much. We appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you if you can make it to Gateway on October 14th. And, of course, we'll have more news about that coming up soon.
Yeah.
But until then, you can always find us on Twitter. That's easy. We're at Fright Club Pod. Also on Facebook and Instagram, it is Mad Wolf Columbus. And the main website where you can find all of our written reviews, plus our other weekly podcast about all the new releases that come out, called The Screening Room. You can find that always at madwolf.com, right? So until next time, keep in touch if you can. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Hello, darling. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And stay frightful, my friend.